Hello my fellow Planet Zoo players and creators, welcome to this video where we are going to be creating a habitat for the Caracal. Now I've not actually done a habitat for these. I know, I'm slacking. This expansion where this animal came out a long time ago, and actually we're probably due another one by now. Hopefully anyway. I love a good new expansion in Planet Zoo. But yeah, Caracals. So I wanted to go with something what looks kind of modern, you know me, love building in modern of course, but something what also looked like it would fit in any zoo, whether that be a modern zoo with a high budget or kind of like a mediocre zoo with a lower end budget. And I think I managed to pull it off, and I've gone with a different colour scheme than a normal gun with. Normally with me, whites, greys, blacks, because I like building modern stuff. This time I've gone with greens, and I think it just looks really good and works really well. It's kind of like an Avery style building this. Really interesting concept. Actually, I do build a lot of custom pieces during this build, so stay tuned for that. I mean, custom walls, floors, everything is pretty much custom. A hell of a lot of detail, I will admit. I don't know the exact piece count for this habitat build, but I'm telling you, it's got to be up there. It's got to be quite high. I have uploaded it as a Steam. I've uploaded it as a blueprint on the Steam Workshop, is what I'm trying to say. So if you do want it, it is on there. Obviously, the habitat gate will not be in. Now, I will leave instructions of how to put the habitat gate in, because I know a lot of people do struggle with that, because I'm again using null barriers. The thing is with this habitat, when I first started it, I thought, you know, it'd take me no time to build this, and I just got carried away with the detailing. I really did. In fact, I might have done too much detailing. This, what you see me build here, is going to be the viewing area, the main like Avery style building, and you see me just using the archer so I know how tall our guests are compared to our fence, our railing. And it's the same principle what I always say if you're building on the grid. Create one piece, you've created it all. So that's basically what I'm doing. I'm creating one piece here. I had in a little bit of foliage there just to separate kind of like the actual barrier of the gated area to our guests. Got our custom barriers in there. We've got our floor, which I've just used concrete, but we do end up changing, like I said, towards the end of the video. I'm just creating a little trim now, focusing on the detailing, and obviously we've gone with the mesh pieces and these lovely metal pieces and recolored them to green. And like I said, there is one piece done, and all you have to do then is go into the group, select it all and duplicate it over, and you've got all the pieces done. And then I thought about just duplicating that over and turning it on the other side, and I thought, no, Adam, do something a little bit different. So I wanted just a wall, basically. And I'm going to add like a backdrop, like rocks and foliage, a backdrop to this wall. So it's a better viewing experience for the guests and a better environment for the animals as well. I'm just filling in the gaps now, filling in the path. You see, I've just added the path to the grid again and just ran it over. It was a little bit fiddly because I had to come in 2 meters instead of 4 when bringing the wall in, but we do end up pulling it off, and it works out in the end, believe me. Adding the glass pieces now. I want to know, how are you getting on with your builds? I've done a lot of tutorials. If you missed it, I've done a lot of tutorials on the videos. In fact, it's very rare I actually do a speed video like you're watching now. I seem to just be hammering out the tutorials. I've seen a lot of new players come into Planet Zoo. I've seen them on social media asking loads of questions, so I thought now is the time to create some tutorials. But this is what I love doing. I love giving information to people, and especially new players, but creating stuff is where my heart is. Now onto this backdrop here. Now, this backdrop, I have created a selection of 4 backdrops. They're on my Steam Workshop page. You might see them in the background now and again. And basically, it's just, yeah, it just gives, instead of just having a solid concrete wall, it just gives it a different aspect and a different feel. Add in the actual foliage now and the climbing frame, because these animals obviously can climb. Once that was in, it was time to focus on the outside. So the inside is pretty much done. I know it looks kind of bare, just a little bit of foliage and then the climbing frame with the rocks, but that's how I wanted it. I didn't want to overcomplicate the inside because the outside is overcomplicated in itself. Hence this custom floor, which I did with plaster pieces. I give it like a brick look. I think it looks really well, and I've separated them a little bit so the gaps look like the actual filling of the concrete, you know, look like the plaster. And then it was time to create this custom wall. Now I did this with the bricks, recolored them to a different colour on the top and the bottom, and then added a trim of white wood. And then got everything in place and it looked like this, and it was time to move on to the roof. But you can see in the middle of those walls, I put like the same metal pieces, the thinner ones, and just line them up, giving the wall a different texture. It's all about playing around with different textures and different looks in this game. It really is. I'm really getting into building custom walls and custom paths recently. I know I've always done it, but it's something what I'm now spending more time and more concentration and more focus on in everything I build in Planet Zoo, basically. I'm just adding the roof now, quite basic. I actually added 2 roofs. So what you're seeing now is the first roof, which is, I believe these are wood. This is a wooden roof. I love this because it's just really flat and really smooth. And when you do recolour them, it does match with the colours you've already choose. Even if the other material is plaster, it does match, even though it's wood. And then adding the second roof just underneath, because I thought this roof just looks too thin. I wanted it a bit thicker, but kind of like a different variant. So we'll just simply add plaster pieces, plaster roof all the way underneath the actual wooden roof to give it that more thicker and fuller look. Just filling in the gaps underneath. I always say build the inside before you build the roof, but I never actually do it. You know, I should really practice what I preach, but I don't. Right, detailing. Now look at this detailing. I spent a lot of time detailing in this habitat, which you would have noticed, but I kind of went to an extreme here, and you can see me actually creating here cabinets. Now I know but it's the little details what I like focusing on, and it helps me get creative, and I actually find it quite tranquil and therapeutic to do stuff like this. I might be weird. Let me know in the comment section, do you find it therapeutic to do stuff like this? And this cabinet section is behind this section, which is the information desk for our habitat. Give it that more welcome feel, and obviously to fill in gaps as well. But yeah, an information desk on a habitat, not really seen it done, so I thought I'll do it. And yeah, it looks good. I think I pulled it off. Now back to the inside, I needed kind of like a shutter door. Now, I didn't want a manual one. I wanted to look like it was an automatic, like you could press a button and the door will open and the animals can come from the inside and out, and they can also be locked outside if need be. So I did it again with the same metal pieces and kind of looked like a roller shutter, I think it's called. So it kind of just rolls over from the roof down to the floor. I hope that makes sense. And then obviously I had to add the switch for more realism effect, so it looked like it can actually switch the shutter. It's like a tongue twister down. Obviously one on the outside and one on the inside. And honestly, there's 3 tips I could give you to be a better builder on Planet Zoo. It would be focus on detailing for number 1. Number 2, just add foliage. And number 3, build your own pieces. Honestly, forget about in-game paths, forget about in-game walls, forget about in-game barriers and habitat gates. Just build your own and everything will look 10 times better, I promise. So yeah, just transferring that switch onto the other side now, and then finishing off the shutter. I needed a bit more length on it so it looked like it could actually reach the floor if it wanted to do. And yeah, that's the shutter pretty much done. And this is how it came out looking in the end. The animals are in and the guests are starting to flow in as well. I'm really happy with it. At the back here, I've just done a little like staff entrance, a little canopy area to keep our staff kind of dry as they go in case it rains, of course. And then inside here, we've got all the tools your zookeepers will need and the entrance to the actual habitat itself. Again, just focus on the detail. We've got some pieced out conservation part here, a designated area so it looked like it can shut off to the animals if the animals need a wash down or they need a vet to come in and have a look at them, and added some wood pieces around the edge so our lovely animals don't scratch the walls. Again, just loving the realism aspects of this habitat, really. That concludes the video. My name's Adam. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will catch you in the next Planet Zoo video.